Just a quick note before today's show. While we have transformed our entire platform to respond to the ongoing crisis, increasing our production of both podcast episodes and blogs, we cannot continue without your support. Please consider making a donation or contributing as a volunteer to support our active engagement at this critical time. I'm happy to be joined today on this episode of Insight Myanmar podcast with Rahel and Damon Lim. And we're going to be telling a story that spans different continents and countries, including obviously Myanmar, Hong Kong, in Europe, and how this all comes together through the medium of art. And we'll get into that story in just a moment. So for you guys, thanks for joining us and having a bit of a chat here.
Yeah,
thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I know that eventually we want to get a bit into Damon's story as a Hong Kong artist and some of the experiences he had that are similar to what some Burmese artists are going through now. But before we get to that, I think it's quite valuable to hear their story and what they've done in Switzerland, where they are now. I should mention that the fuller story and the more details of this are shared already by Rahel on our podcast. It's a very good conversation about her background and what led her to do the project that they were doing. And so we'll be talking about that in a bit broadly here before moving on to Damon's story. And so suggest listeners who want to hear the full story to tune in there. But to get caught up to speed for those who have never heard of you or don't know anything about the project that you just did, can you give us some of your personal background and then tell us what project you did and why you did it?
So my name, as you already said, is Rahel, and Damon is my husband. And 2015, we found a cup of color with the goal to bring art to places where there is brokenness, where there is kind of different struggles. And we started the work started with painting in a red light district with women. They got sold in the average of 10 years old in Kolkata in the West Bengal. And so for years, what we did is we painted walls with people. They went through very difficult situations, and we painted the walls in their community to give signs of hope and of life, so that they see every day when they wake up or when they walk through the streets, that they see something that encourages them to go on and encourages them to not give up and to have a smile on their face, especially as everyone was a part of painting these walls, right? It was always what is the sign of hope and how can we express it? Mm-hmm. And then it happened, the whole story with Hong Kong happened, and the demonstrations, and it turns our life totally upside down because Damon is from Hong Kong, even though we were already in Switzerland, which was not we went to Switzerland in the hope of we go to Switzerland, then we will go back to Hong Kong. And then everything started, and Damon started to do protest art. And this influenced our whole family. It was his pain, but is also our home. It's we lived together with his parents. Their parents became my parents, my mom and dad. Hong Kong is our home for our children. It's it's their home. They see themselves as Hong Konger. And suddenly we had war all the time in our house, even though we lived in Switzerland, and no one saw it. It's like the silence, like you carried in you all the pictures, all the images. You get messages from friends you don't know, like surrounded by police, you don't know what happened to them. You are here in a holy world, but at the same time, in yourself there is war, and in the house there is war. And there was such a devastated experience, and I think for both of us it was very, very difficult. And I mean, I am not a Hong Kong woman, so I felt almost guilty to be so inside. At the same time, I sometimes felt so angry that it's all the time here, and at the same time I was worrying all the time. So it's this confusion of feelings, and our kids, they were crying. I remember our smallest daughter, she wrote a letter to a friend of us, and in this letter she wrote, "You told me that I should dream big. Can you please bring me to Hong Kong?" And this friend wrote me and said, "Do you know what your daughter asked me?" And I said, "Not really, actually." And she wrote in the letter, "I will pay, I think my parents can pay for my flight, but yours you have to pay by yourself." And our daughter is just was 7 years old at that time, or 6, I can't remember exactly. Was it 7? And it really shows, how deep this wish to go back and see grandparents was or is in our kids' lives. At the same time, we don't know if we can go back. We don't know what is the consequences. We don't know what happened. No one can tell us. So in this time, going through all these feelings, we started to ask ourselves, how does other people experience this, who are away from their home, who had to flee or not to, or like were already away and then something happened? How do they experience, and how are they? I mean, we worked a lot with refugees, but this was suddenly the topic of home became very different, and it totally changed. And it was so comforting when people ask me, how is Hong Kong? Even though it was 1,000 times the same story, but it was so helpful to have places where we could talk about it. And so last year in summer, we got this message from Raise 3 Fingers if we could paint the wall for them. And for us, it was really like, for sure, this is like, let's paint a wall, like, with Raise 3 Fingers, like with the sign. And then in the whole process of our own process of dealing with all the painful images and all the traumatic experience we had, and all these memories and stories and films we saw, and all in our mindset, we started to ask, what can we actually do to heal our own trauma and also help others? And when this call came, suddenly we talked about it, Damon and me, and we said, what would happen if we would paint actually a wailing wall? Not just an awareness wall, but really a wall where people can just express their pain and put down what is they carry inside. And so then we went actually to an organization to ask if they would help us to do this, because we have no money and we didn't have a wall, but this didn't happen. They were not open for it. And so we said, let's search by ourselves. And then the situation happened with Afghanistan. And we have brothers and sisters from Afghanistan. So we were like, okay, let's do a wall for them first. And then we made this mural for Afghanistan, where we invited the community to express their pain. And to be very honest, we would have loved to do it for our own home, but it's so difficult to do something for Hong Kong in a way of like, you have the fear of China in the back is quite big. So we were like, yeah, we're not able or couldn't yet doing it. So then we did it for Hong Kong, and then we started to search one for Myanmar. And I cannot tell you how, like, it is a crazy miracle that we found a wall in the midst of Zurich to do this. It's like, I don't know, maybe it was the right time, the right people. It was crazy. We never expected it. We we were just asking around. And in retrospective now, I'm searching for a wall again. It is so headache and difficult, and I don't even know. And it just opened, and it was just possible. And then as soon as we had the wall, we just started to contact different organizations over the internet, the Swiss diaspora from Myanmar, and asked if they want to express their pain on this wall. And people sent us the 160 messages in 2 weeks, really like one after the other. And we painted them on the wall for them. Yeah, this is what we did as a wall. And then we made a film about it, which might be also shown in a human rights festival, hopefully. And for us, it was really about giving a voice in a very dark time and helping a little to release the pain and the traumas, that we have a space where our pain is seen and that we are not alone with it. And I would dream of having that's my dream, and I'm at the moment I'm keep thinking about, but I really would like to have a huge. So if anyone listen and has an idea or knows, I don't know, but I would love to have a very long, huge wall and draw like painting women from Sudan, Myanmar, Iran, Syria, and so on. And then to really have a wall of pain, voices of forgotten places, of places that they are not Iran is not forgotten, but so there I would question, but right, Sudan, Myanmar, they're not seen. And I would like to have a wall where you would see this cry together, that it's not just one country and it's not just a small place, there are many. And this is so let's hope and pray and let's see. But I don't know. It would be a miracle, and so far I couldn't get through it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for those listeners that want to take the time to go on your Instagram or look at the documentary, you can see some of the see what the wall looks like visually. But for those listeners who are just in the process of listening now, and maybe they'll get to that later, can you describe some of the images that went up on that wall?
So it was the picture shows a woman holding up the three fingers, the gesture, and it's a woman who is mourning over her lost family member who got killed. And we especially used a woman that it's not a well-known woman, because we wanted that it's a sign for many, because mothers carry the pain all over. And then in her clothes, there are all the pictures that the people send us. So there is like messages like, "Mom, I miss you," or like, "I." What?
So there's some are sketches, drawings, and paintings, and also some are sentences in their own language, in Burmese or in English, poems and letters. So there's different form of text and images. The people send us as a submission, and then we paint it for them, on the wall.
Yeah, so there's, for example, like there's one of the poem is like, "Inside the prison I meet my country," or there's also some of the people, they got killed in the beginning, or there is like a woman with tears, or someone praying. There's also two people like behind a prison.
A few fallen angels. Those people, they passed away during the protest, or
yeah, and there's also in poems in Burmese, but also in English.
Yeah.
Some symbol of the country, some food symbols. I mean, like missing the food of my mom.
And we especially named this wall mural "Tears Matter," because we want to talk about tear matters very much. That we need to give a space, give a place for the people to name their pain, to place their suffering, those frustration, especially. I think a lot of these emotions, the traumatic experience is still not solved, and I would say it's still in a lot of tough process for the people. They experienced the loss of their family or the loss of their home, and so I think this is another kind of transformation of this sadness and helplessness.
Mm.
Right. And I think what's interesting looking at it, what you've created is, first of all, it's hard to get Myanmar on to bring awareness to international community. It's something that
Mm,
all of us who
mm,
really care about know. It's very hard to bring this. And then if you are able to break out and actually reach new audiences and create
mm,
greater engagement, it's so temporary. It's something that
yes.
is just kind of a flicker, and then it's a moment on the social media feed or an international headline or even
Mm,
some event or show, or like on our side, our nonprofit has done, we managed to show paintings from Myanmar artists in a New York City gallery
mm,
that was offered to us last year. It was wonderful, it was beautiful, but it was just a few days in length. It was just a
mm,
moment in time that someone got to see and experience this. And all
mm,
that matters, all that counts. But I think you've created something a bit more lasting. That's not just a
mm,
temporary event, however powerful, but it's something that is going to remain, and
mm,
that is not just going to go up and be appreciated and then move on, but it's going to be there. And so with that in mind,
mm,
I wonder if, like, in a very small way, if you found this is becoming something of like a pilgrimage site of, like, for allies and Burmese themselves who are somewhat in the area, not that someone's going to fly across the world to come and see it, but if someone's kind of nearby,
mm,
if you find that people from different communities are coming to want to see it and take pictures and kind of visit it. I know for myself, if I was anywhere in your neck of the woods, I would definitely want to make a trip to see it and get pictures and
mm.
kind of feel what was done. So since you've put this up, what have you noticed about the reception of who's coming and how they're experiencing it?
We get sometimes people make photos. I mean, there is this right. There is these influencers who go around and making photos of walls
Street
and
art.
street art,
Mm,
and then when they and so they're making photos of it, and then they write about Myanmar. Even they would never write about it,
mm,
which I think it's actually really good. So other people hear about it; they never heard about it,
mm,
and this always moves me because I think then more people take the word Myanmar in their mouth, then more it is here. Like
mm,
there's a really nice, in my favorite book, it calls I Will Never See the World Again. It's from a Turkish writer who was in the prison. Actually, he was lifelong sentenced, but he finally came out. And he wrote the book in the prison. And he said that he said, like, I am alive or I live outside because everyone who used my words, he like helped me to travel around the world. So when people speak about me, I am alive.
mm,
And I think the same is with this wall. When people speak about the wall, when they speak about Myanmar, and not only about this wall, but basically whatever we do, right? But when people speak about Myanmar, when they speak about the pain they read or what they saw, then this country is alive.
mm,
It travels around, it's mentioned, and it has a space. But if no one speaks about it anymore, it's dead.
mm,
And so this was actually one important point about it.
mm,
Let's make something that people speak about it.
mm,
So this is what we noticed. We also noticed that
mm,
some Myanmar people would, when they travel to Zurich, they would go and look at it,
mm,
and they're always really, really happy.
mm,
And many people say when they stand in front, it's actually very impressive.
mm. I
Um,
think one first strong comment is a Swiss person, and then he mentioned that he actually didn't have much relationship to Myanmar, Burma, or anything about this country, but when he stand in front of the wall, he was crying because of reading all these different writings. So I think his heart was connected to the people experience in Myanmar. And I think that's also the power of the wall because it's really in front of you, and it gives you time to digest and to read about or to look at it, to feel about what's happened. But at the same time, you can make the decision where you want to flow, and actually it gives us chance that the people, they can have a feeling of what the people experience, even a very, very small percentage of feeling only, they can understand.
Mm-hmm. And one thing is actually interesting is like, because walls, right, they're in public, so anyone can tack on it, spray it over, you cannot protect the wall. It's like people can pass by, they can have the spray can, and they can destroy it in 1 second. So this is also a risk, also for me. I hate this feeling that I'm so vulnerable, because at the end, for me, like how shall I say, but if someone crosses a pain out with a spray can cheaply, it hurts, so it would hurt me so deep, because it's crossing a pain of someone. So it makes us really vulnerable to create the image in a public space. And especially in Zurich, and especially in this area, it is very common that people just spray over it. And now it's there since half a year, and people, they tagged actually on it, but not on the image, just on the side. And I thought, wow, how this is really strong. This shows that this image shines something out that you don't just touch. And the side, we can actually fix it. We can just go again and paint over it on the side, so that's okay.
A certain kind of respect that the people, I would say most of the artists still are very egoistic. That means I want my art to be shown and seen. And so I feel that what we did, because we are not doing our own art, we are actually reflecting and give a platform for people to express and to deliver the pain, the feelings. And so actually artists, I think they are being moved and challenged by it at the same time.
That's great to hear. And I think looking for a moment at just this idea of art, creativity, freedom of expression, these are things that to anyone who's grown up in the West, to say we take them for granted is, I think, an underestimate. It's far more than that. We can't really conceive of a life without that freedom, because it's something so second nature to our societies. But in fact, much of human history and much of the world today has had some kind of real acute lack of freedom, or there's been huge consequences and penalties for expressing that freedom. And this is something we see in Myanmar today. They've gone after the creatives in the society. They've killed many of their poets, of course, musicians and painters and graffiti artists and singers and hip hoppers, and just any artists and creatives from any background. They've seen as a danger, because they see that these are the people that can, in their view, they can get in the mass of people's minds and convince them with their vision. I think really it's not so much that, as much as these artists are finding a way to express and release the cumulative and subconscious vision that many people have, but they're just doing it in a very profound way that touches upon this collective unconscious. And so looking at this idea of freedom and a freedom of expression as we enjoy in the West, as is seen on the wall, and then in places like Myanmar, or Hong Kong and many other places where this freedom is seen as a threat and it's limited in really terrible ways, you've used the freedom available in your society to be able to share this story and this vision from those who don't have this in their country. And I think it's very interesting that Damon is coming from Hong Kong, as I understand, is an artist there, who you suffered from this as well, having your freedom limited, having to face very terrible consequences for trying to express a freedom of vision and of creativity. So I wonder, what, coming from that background, what similarities you've seen and what solidarity you've managed to find as you've begun to understand more and more the Myanmar story, and as you've come in contact with more and more Myanmar artists and creatives and activists.
Yeah, I think firstly, I think about solidarity, it's true that in many places when they got um, like a repression, when they experience injustice, that actually a lot of people they have to make decision, not only about artists, that if they want to continue with what they believe, what is right, and or they decide they have to stay silent, or to live with it and to just ignore what's happening, right? But I feel through the many civil movement, people they have to realize that it's more and more difficult to stay blind. So I guess it makes more and more people they have to decide. Yes, I don't care about it. I just live the life that I can survive. I can earn money, or no, I'm gonna make a difference and to reflect. And so I think as artists, I'm actually me and my wife we did a lot of community art. So I would say we are staying quite we step back quite a lot. We are not so much stand front. We are more seeing the need of the people of the society. But this is also a strength that we have, and the experience that we felt. Actually, most of the artists or the art project we are very much interested in, or we felt deeply moved, are those work that relate to humanity or with people. And so that's I think that's what I was responding to the Hong Kong movement. That's already 3 years ago. In the beginning, I mean I was not there, so I felt very limited to get to the news or to know what's really happening. But at the same time, I'm also trying to follow up yeah, certain independent news or media, or some friends updates. So sometimes I realize I know more than my friends in Hong Kong. And so but at the same time I feel very helpless because I could not make much things to reflect what's going on. And there's already a lot of artists, they voice out and they make really amazing artworks or protest art or illustrations. um, so I think after a time, I realize it's going much more, more and more like unresolved brutality. Of course, it happened from both sides, from the people, they're protesting, and also from the government, from the police. But we also say there's a lot of systematic violence they're using. So not just about physical violence at all, how they are turning the court, or about justice, that they're doing a lot of things that putting people in jail, arrest them with political reason. And so I feel more when the fight is getting longer, it's so difficult to sustain. I guess it's happened similar in Myanmar as well. I think in the beginning we want to fight hard, we want to fight for what we dream for. But after a time, people get exhausted, and there's also that's coming to the downfall, seeing the people there being arrested or disappeared or fleeing. And so I'm just focusing on uh, on the on the way to share hope, and to let the people to know somehow we need to continue, because um, we need that hope to continue, to know that what we are fighting for is actually worth fighting. um, so yeah, I think that's the time I started writing sentences, basically in an open source method. That means I put out things online, and the people they can download it and they can print it out. They can bring it to the protest, or they can stick it up on the wall. So in this way, I could support the people that I want to. And on the other hand, also, there's people that got arrested, they were in prison, and especially those they have less names or they're not so famous. And then I try to make certain artworks for them to encourage them, to give them motivation, and to ask just openly if someone can print it for them. And I was very grateful. Somehow it works for a few person like that. And so through this experience, I realized actually even I'm staying so far to observe what's happening, but actually I can do something still. And then this is also around the time when the Myanmar started this whole movement, and then when Raise Three Fingers they make this campaign. I remember this is like like image. Someone just draw illustration of someone raise three fingers, and then they make an opening call, and then so I just feel that hey, this is the place that we have to pay attention to, because that would be much more like a brutality than we know in Hong Kong, I would say. And then so yeah, I did something like that, and then I realized that the people they were sharing it, and also many other artists they were joining this campaign, and they did it in um, such a powerful way and in a very high quality of like submissions and the website, and how they are presenting to people that actually they are not just doing it for fun, they're doing it very serious. I think this really touched me to see how they were getting people to do something with a good cause. And so yeah, and then afterwards then we have this, we received this call from them to do something for them, to paint a wall. Yeah, so that's somehow how we got involved. And we, our strength is probably to get people to be a part of it, and to reflect what the people want to say, to voice out for them. And I would say this is probably also in this very um, special time with troubles, with tribulations, struggles. Um, Actually, artists, we have the responsibility to reflect what's going on in the society.
Right. Thanks for that. And you're someone who's not only supporting and standing by the Burmese
Mm-hmm.
artist, but you yourself are an artist who was who used that expression when there was conflict and problems in your own place of Hong
Mm-hmm.
Kong. And so I'm wondering
Mm-hmm.
if, because you've been an artist in Hong Kong and you've had many interactions with other artists there who are also trying to stand for freedom and express their vision and face consequences for that, and then you've come in contact with so many Burmese artists through this wall that you created, what kinds of, how would you contrast the Burmese artists that you've come in contact with the Hong Kong ones? Where have you found similarities and just kind of an overall humanity that is an
Mm-hmm.
artistic expression that's guiding your work? And where might you have seen some differences in the contrast from the Burmese artistic community and what you've been involved with Hong Kong?
Mm-hmm. I mean, so far, I mean, we just know some of them, right? I mean, in Hong Kong also, we know we got in touch with them, with the artists in Hong Kong during the last 2 3 years more. Before we know a part of it, but what I would say is there's some similarity in Myanmar and Hong Kong to those artists. We got to know they're very selfless, they are very kind and warm, and they they would like to help when they can. And I think it's such a beautiful attitude and the balance of, normally when even when they're very technically very good and they have great ideas, they're willing to share and to support each other. and they also very quick and to respond, very passionate.
When they have internet, they're very quick.
Yeah, I think they are very easygoing, and it's a very different mentality compared to here. We are here in Switzerland in a more European way of thinking. Everyone is a bit working on their own compared to that, and
I think the open source, like we realized that Asian artists they are giving the things out, and everyone like this open source mentality. You working together, you give your art, and everyone can print it. Where the Westerns are much more like this is mine, or like and sometimes very weird fight suddenly appears of like who has the ownership for something. There was a really weird incident about the wall that also someone kind of wanted to make it to his own. Like it was a kind of a challenge communication, and we realized we think so different. Like we don't really care to who this idea belong or who had the idea or whatever. I don't really like.
Well, I think for us, I think it's when we are collecting people's ideas or asking people to submit their thoughts or the sketch, the sentences they want to express. I think the most powerful way is when they could have the ownership of it. That means they feel they're being taken serious, and their voice is being a part of the what is shown. So it's not of one person would possess this piece of art.
I think Hong Kong people have that too. That we are one, and we are working together, and we're helping each other, and we are we have to stand together, and we are not kind of. It doesn't matter who is better or not. And this I felt also very strong in Myanmar or like we felt very strong. But Myanmar people many don't speak English, and that makes it really hard to bring it out. I think there was a difference where Hong Kong people, they're really good in connecting and getting it over the internet and speaking out in English. So they had a very strong impact, or they were able to bring the messages much further, just language-wise. I don't know if you would agree to that, but this is what we observed.
Or we see, I mean, of course, also in Hong Kong, they have their own like local language group. They also write a lot in their own language, which is Cantonese or traditional Chinese. But we see in a lot of Myanmar sharing posts, unless they are journalists, otherwise a lot of these posts are in their own language, in Burmese.
Right.
So which will be more difficult for people if they have no idea about even where is Myanmar, and then to see these very brutal images, and then to see some text they don't understand. And I think one of the differences, also not many people in the Western world, they've been to Myanmar, or that's so far we experience when we talk about this topic. Many people they passed by Hong Kong, or they somehow changed the flight in Hong Kong and stay for a few days, so they have a big feeling of it. They have also they know about some little history of like Hong Kong used to be colonized by the British government and then went back to China now. And so with Myanmar, some people they don't even know this is a country, which is for us it's like, come on. But at the same time, it's also a bit reality, because some it's not a very, very popular country if you compare to Thailand or Vietnam, or Laos, and so they are still less known. Like.
Right. Yeah, that's all definitely true. And you, both of your background, you obviously come from Hong Kong and spent a lot of time there with in-laws. And haven't had the same experience living in Myanmar, knowing the Burmese community as others, but yet this project has brought you into proximity with a number of activists and dissidents and people working for democracy and opposing the military regime, artists. And so you've really suddenly found yourself surrounded amidst a Burmese community and those of allies like myself. And so as in this past year, as you've become more involved in the Myanmar cause and aligned with those who are resisting and supporting democracy, what has stood out for you? What has surprised you, either about the project itself and doing that, or just about your interactions with the Burmese community as you've come to learn more about what's going on and what this place is and who these people are? What has stood out for you?
It's a good question. I mean, like these people, like many people became really friends. Especially those like living in Switzerland and really were a part of the wall. So we will have also a thank you dinner, lunch soon. Also one artist who came from France, and now last week we worked in a refugee camp where there's also a Burmese person who flee and is there, and it's very interesting because it just feels like being friends. Like Damon met him outside, and it was just like meeting an old friend, even though you don't know each other actually. But I'm often worried, to be honest, about my friends because I think the traumas of seeing all the images all the time, it getting very like the how I say, the news they regularly seeing and the bombing and the killing and the images of dead bodies, it really start to eat them inside. And I want to just be a friend for them and standing still with them in their pain. But it's really, I can see that it getting very long. And they're not loud suffering, but they're very silent suffering. And but the suffering is very, very deep. I think that stood out. It's Myanmar people, or people, they can make jokes about the darkest thing. I think that's kind of a way they survive. I don't know, but they have quite a dark humor, which help you to also be with them in the really difficult times. But seeing their silent tears, that's very, it's very heavy. And I sometimes feel like, we did this wall. I mean, as you say, right, we're from Hong Kong, we are doing many different projects for many different people. We did this magazine with 170 artists of 68 countries. There are countries like Colombia, Iran, Russia, like so many different countries where people are inside who stand against the regime, really extremely experience suffering. And sometimes I feel guilty that we cannot just be for one place. And that's maybe why our page or Instagram is not always full of Myanmar posts, because this is, but I am there for my friends who I got to know through this project, and I want to be faithful to them.
I think also, especially, we got to know one of the friends' aunt. We call her our grandmother, but she's from Myanmar, and so she's already from another generation. But I think she also experienced the movement earlier, before, from the time of Aung San Suu Kyi, and but she was so lovely to us. She came to help, to paint, to write the language on the wall. And she cooked food for us. And I think probably these are the things that the people, if they know Myanmar, they know that they have lovely food, and the people, they have such a great hospitality. When you are their friend, they help you and they give you everything. I think this is the thing also similar to what I experienced in Hong Kong. When the people see you as friend, you're the best friend. They give you everything. They give you all the support they can. Um, but it was quite a pain that to see she's like a grandmother generation or like another generation, but she's carrying on this pain and this guilt and these bad feelings of helplessness that she could not do much. But actually, she already did many things. I would say, as much that she can support, fundraise, but it's still tough to see that that pain is still here. Yeah, but I had a very funny experience with her because she prepared a song that she want to sing in front of the people, and so she gave me the lyrics. I mean, I have no idea. It's just something about the mountain of the Chin village, and then I tried to find on YouTube a video, and I tried to learn because I play guitar. I can play music, so I find all the chord. The style, maybe this is a little bit this karaoke style, so Asian, a little bit old, but like love song, like very sentimental. And then so I practiced. I prepared the whole part, and then she was singing in front of everyone, and I was playing, and she's not following my rhythm at all. And so I have to sometimes catch her back, and then to say, now is this part? Are you going to sing that? And then so it's actually fun, but at the same time also very sad as well. After the song, she was crying. So yeah, there's so much emotions. I think it's beyond what we could handle sometimes. And I mean, I really wish that there will be a release. That means, I mean, situation can change, and also people, they can also get out of this like a really um, dark cycle of it. But at the same time realize probably in reality the world is not treating this nation well. So that's the thing. Is the tough reality to know actually we can do something. Everyone can do something. Come on, everyone can make a change about it. But at the same time, like, hey, how and when will it be ended? And that's the difficult part to face, I think.
Yeah, and when you talked about the similarity to Hong Kong, one thing we realize, and I think it's also in our own, you never feel enough. Like, whenever I talk to our Burmese friends, everyone feel like he doesn't do enough. Everyone feel guilty. It's this constant guilt of not being there, not looking, not fighting, not doing enough. It's never. And I think actually even the people fighting on the front, they feel not doing enough. Or when they get injured, they don't feel enough. And the same we saw in Hong Kong as well. But especially for everyone who is outside of the country or who flee or who left, it's this feeling, I kind of failed. I didn't give enough. And I read books about the Holocaust, and I read about this fact that so many like the survivors in the Holocaust, they felt guilt. The biggest pain was the guilty feeling of feeling that they survived because others died. And so what we do personally very often is talking with our friends about these points and ensure them and to say, like, do you know that you do enough? And do you know that that you are enough, what you are as well? And I think it's something we have to tell each other very often because we really easily forget it. And it's a pain, it's a universal pain we all carry. But if we don't give it a name, then we feel so alone with it. Yeah.
Yeah, because the burden is very heavy, and everyone is carrying their own backpacker, And I feel there's so many people there. It's not a decision they want to carry that, but
Mhm.
it's the experience and it's the timing and so much things that they could not digest, and they see people there. There are also people around them. They're carrying their own backpacker, and so I feel there's such a heaviness, right? At the same time, I think probably Asian people, when they're happy, when they smile, when they just being satisfied by maybe eating something nice, or so they are so simple, almost
Oh,
naive, but at the
you
same
also,
time,
we are all.
yeah, we are. But at the same time, this heaviness is actually very difficult to deal with, I think.
Yeah.
mm
Mm. And
mm
then you often have it also in the family, right?
mm
Like we
mm
experience in our own family that there are
mm
people there for the regime and against, right?
mm
And you
mm
sometimes don't even know anymore who is on what side.
mm
And it's so conflicted because it's inside the family. It's your
mm
brothers and sisters, or I
Mhm.
don't, So
mm
it's not just black and white, the whole story.
mm mm
And all these things makes it that you feel like alone
Mhm.
mm
and not able to talk, like
mm
guilty to talk, guilty to yeah,
mm
to
mm
react.
mm
Well, thank you for sharing all that. That's really quite a bit to take in, and I think
Mm.
it's also just so inspiring to hear from people as yourselves who don't necessarily have a background in Myanmar, but are
mm
choosing to devote so much of your time and attention and creativity towards this conflict and this people that have been crying out for attention for the last 2 years, for support, for engagement, and this is a very novel and clever way to bring people in through another door, through the door of art and expression, and once they or murals, cityscape, and once they come in through that, they can then learn a bit something about the conflict. So, I think
mm
a lot of people have seen what you've done around the world. A lot of people appreciate it, and
mm
that you didn't have to do this. You're raising 3 children on your own. You're exiled from your own land. This isn't a conflict that is impacting you, and yet to take on this burden, I think, means a lot for a lot of people. So just really appreciate the work that you've done behind that, as well as taking time to talk to us today about what you've done and what drove you to do that. So yeah, just really thanks for all that.
mm.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for your work you're doing
Yeah.
and the faithfulness you guys have. I mean,
mm mm
I
mm
think it takes a long brief, you
mm
know.
mm mm
I think we could just do a little drop to support and to hold our hands out and
mm Yeah, probably this is also, I mean, our small motivation sometimes, um, even to do it for one person, even just one person might got the message, or feel the hope, or to see the light, and that's enough.
Right.
This gives us already enough reason to do what we are doing.
yeah, and it's actually interesting. That's years ago. I think it was 2016.
Mm,
I them was it 2016? I
mm,
like I got to know a really wonderful woman in Hong Kong, and she's a political activist. And I remember I asked her because I was often wondering how can you become how can your life turn to be a political activist? Did you choose that, or like how does this happen? And I asked her, and
mm,
I mean at that time I didn't know what lays ahead of us, right?
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
as yeah, growing up, I mean I have my story, which is not an easy story, but still it's not
mhm,
such a story. So I asked her, and I said to her like, how did it come that, or like how did it happen that you became a political activist? And then she said to me, um, it just it knocked on the door and I opened.
Hmm.
And I found it such a strong sentence because today I would say it's the same answer. I decided long time ago that when someone knock on my door, I open and I listen. What I do with it, I don't know, but I will listen. It doesn't, it's not means that I can react, but I will listen. And to be honest, it was as simple as this. I feel like David and me, we opened the door and we listened. And that's how we ended up being where we are today. And today, sometimes I wish that I would not open the door and not listen. But on the other hand, I face the mirror if I don't open and I don't listen. And I think that's a life decision. And I think so many people, they're telling like, oh, I don't know, or like, oh, this doesn't interest me, or like, or kind of bringing some kind of excuses. And I always think, yes, because you don't open the door and you don't listen. That's okay, but don't bring some excuses for it. Because it's painful to open the door and listen. It's very painful. But this is kind of, for me, that I can look into my children's face. I have to do that. I think that's my responsibility as a human being. And sometimes we listen and we say, I'm overwhelmed. It's too much. I can't do anything. And that's okay. You know, it's important to learn to be honest in all these fights with our limits and our limitations. And this is what I tell very often to actually my Burmese friend. I say, learn to be honest with your limitation. Listen and tell that you can't. It's okay. We have to learn that there are things in front of our doors we don't know how to handle. And we have to, like, the thing is that when I remember a long time ago, we were in a very devastated situation, and I tried to get some help, and I talked to some psychologists and different people with it about it. And everyone gave me some kind of explanations, and I don't know what. And then I remember it was a very crazy situation, actually. My body reacted so crazily that I couldn't move anymore. And then we called one coaching, like a trauma therapist, and she said to us, this is red light. People like you would end up in a psychiatry. This is so bad, Rahel. This is so bad what I see at the moment in your situation. And she was so shocking looking at me, like, really, and she just spoke it out, like, very, very bold, you know, like, this is red light, stop it immediately, you have to make a break, you know. And I realized she gave me a mirror of what really is the reality. She showed me a mirror that my pain is real, and she showed me a mirror that what I'm going through is nightmare. And I realized this is what we need from each other. When we open the door and we listen, we have to give a mirror to the other person, that the other person know that what she or he carries is real. It's a reality. It's painful, it's devastating, or if it's joyful or whatever, but they need a mirror to see the reality and the truth. And this is what we can give each other. And I think this is what we did with the wall and with the art. And sometimes I am tired, and then I show a tired face, but it also shows something that this person see, what I'm carrying, it's tiring, you know? So, but this is what we try to mirror it, to react honestly, and to learn that life is not a straight path. But I think, to be honest, you know, a flower can be hit by the rain like crazy and the storm, and it looks like she died. But then the next day, when she opened the petals, she looks even more beautiful. And I have to admit, even though it was so painful seeing Hong Kong and everything, I feel almost all of our friends, they got more beautiful. They got more humans. I also think that our marriage and our relationship and we by ourselves got more beautiful. Even we lost a lot of naivety, but I feel we got something that I would never ever want to give away again. It's a richness, it's like diamonds you cannot replace. And sometimes it needs a storm. I don't understand why, actually. But yeah.
Well, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you so much for taking the time to share the thoughts about your life and background and mission, as well as this wall you did, and sending out, just as you say, sometimes you just have to hear a voice knocking on the door and open and answer it. Hopefully, this is that voice that's knocking on the door for some people. So thanks so
Mhm.
much for being that voice to whoever's tuning in today.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Mm.
And thanks for giving a chance. Even in the beginning, we didn't know right answer,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
We want to take a moment to introduce you to our nonprofit Better Burma's online shop, which features handicrafts sourced from artisan communities scattered throughout Myanmar. Far from being mass-produced knockoffs, the pieces we offer are unique and handmade, reflecting the wide diversity of different peoples found throughout the country. When Myanmar experienced its transition period, moving from democracy in the late 2010s after decades of harsh military dictatorship, many Burmese craftspeople hoped their beautiful work could finally be appreciated beyond the country. When Myanmar experienced its transition period, moving towards democracy in the late 2010s after decades of harsh military dictatorship, many Burmese craftspeople hoped their beautiful work could finally be appreciated beyond the country's borders. But sadly, this was not to be so. Following the military coup, many skilled artisans suddenly found all possibility of continuing their livelihood closed off and began struggling just to feed their families. With this in mind, we prioritize working with artisans from disadvantaged and vulnerable backgrounds because we know just how hard it can be to survive at the margins of society in Myanmar. This includes such people as those with disabilities, mothers who have contracted HIV/AIDS, civil servants on CDM, ethnic and religious minorities, and more. To view these wonderful pieces, please visit alokacrafts.com. That's Aloka, A-L-O-K-A, crafts, C-R-A-F-T-S. One word, alokacrafts.com. Otherwise, please consider a donation through our usual channels. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are being impacted by the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Your donation will go on to support a wide range of humanitarian and media missions, aiding those local communities who need it most. Donations are directed to such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, internally displaced person IDP camps, food for impoverished communities, military defection campaigns, undercover journalists, refugee camps, monasteries and nunneries, education initiatives, the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies, COVID relief, and more. We also make sure that our donation fund supports a diverse range of religious and ethnic groups across the country. We invite you to visit our website to learn more about past projects, as well as upcoming needs. You can give a general donation or earmark your contribution to a specific activity or project you would like to support, perhaps even something you heard about in this very episode. All of this humanitarian work is carried out by our nonprofit mission, Better Burma. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is directed towards this fund. Alternatively, you can also visit the Better Burma website, betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit card. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to these respective accounts or email us at info@betterburma.org. That's Better Burma, one word, spelled BETTERBURMA.org. If you would like to give it another way, please contact us. We also invite you to check out our range of handicrafts that are sourced from vulnerable artisan communities across Myanmar, available at alokacrafts.com. Any purchase will not only support these artisan communities, but also our nonprofit's wider mission. That's Aloka Crafts, spelled ALOKACRAFTS, one word, alokacrafts.com. Thank you so much for your kind consideration and support.
Oba yarananda dayananga yaranaya dayanam boda yaranam